One thing I wanted to kind of talk to you about is this link between breathing and longevity. A lot of people are interested in that kind of health span, increasing that. And I feel like the breathing aspect has been a little bit missing from the conversation. I mean, it's kind of indirectly they talk about it through the VO2 max as a capacity of your kind of exercise system, so to speak. But maybe there's different angles we could look at this. But one maybe is this idea that I think Peter T and other popularized is this zone two training. So doing this like low intensity training, and a couple hours a week, and that basically the way you could measure that is whether you can talk while you're doing it is like one way to assess if you're in that zone. I guess I'm just overall curious to hear how are you thinking about zones in general, and how do you think kind of breathing links to maybe assessing which zone you're in, if at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think that sort of adage has been used for quite a while in terms of, if you can talk easily, you're probably like in zone one or two, and then as you start to get zone three, four, you might be able, zone three, you might be able to get a short sentence out, but not maybe kind of talk forever. And zone four, fives, basically just get just get on with the running. I think in terms of whether if you're doing kind of zone two stuff, I think what that allows you to do is it's in athlete work terms, that's kind of like a recovery runs and things. But obviously, if you're doing it for a prolonged period of time, there might be kind of training for things like endurance sports. How that then links to doing that kind of stuff a couple of times a week for longevity and kind of aging and those sort of things. I mean, it's probably not gonna hurt as long as it's not painful to exercise for that length of time. But I think the evidence for doing it 2 week to two days a week will add on X amount of I guess it's longevity in terms of, is it about living longer, or longevity about quality of life until we die? It's likely to have that. It's certainly likely to have that ability to increase quality of life, because that's going to kind of those kind of benefits are going to definitely work in your cardiovascular system as much as your respiratory system, because the two work really close hand in hand together. And it's likely that if you're kind of you're exercising for a prolonged an hour or two in that zone two level, that you're going to be really working your cardiovascular system. So, that heart is going to be pumping the blood around as much as it's going to be keep making sure that the heart's working well. It's also going to be probably making sure all the blood vessels are working efficiently as well. So there's definitely sort of links to it. I mean, say we've been using it for, I think, within that training world, when heart rates went around and things, when people don't have heart rate monitors, it would be kind of like recovery run that you should be able to talk. If you pushing yourself away, struggling to talk, that's probably getting into a bit of a training zone. If we're going to the point where we can't talk, that's kind of into those anaerobic type zones. It's definitely got something. There's definitely something in it. I wouldn't like to sit here and go, well, if you can do that twice a week, it's going to add 5 years to your life. I wouldn't say the evidence is there at the moment.